Hi guys, welcome to this video. In this video we learn two words verbs. Multi-word verbs are formed from a verb, an adverbial or a prepositional particle. There are four types of multi-word verbs, and each type has different rules, for example about the position or the use of the object. Such financing opportunities may not be readily available in the future. These four types are intransitive phrasal verb. For example, take off. Transitive phrasal verb, such as put something off. Prepositional verbs, cope with something. Phrasal prepositional verbs, look forward to something. First part is about phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs consist of a verb plus and an adverb. Phrasal verbs have a meaning which is different from the meaning of the separate parts. For example, get on means manage. Getting by on my salary is not easy. An intransitive phrasal verbs have no direct object and they cannot made passive. My car broke down the engine. This sentence is wrong. It should be, my car broke down. Intransitive phrasal verbs are sometimes used in imperatives. For example, watch out. That floor is not very solid. Come on. I cannot wait all day. Transitive phrasal verbs consist of a verb plus adverb, and have a direct object. Either a pronoun or a noun. For example, it is not true. I made it up. Or for example, I made up that story. If the object is a noun, it can either be between the verb and the particle or after the particle. I made a story up, or I made up a story. If the object is a pronoun, it can either be between the verb and the particle but not after the particle. Example, I made up it. I made it up. Both of them are correct. We cannot put an adverb between the verb and particle or between the particle and object. I paid an early back the loan. I paid back early the loan. Both of them are wrong. The true sentence is, I paid back the loan early. We cannot put a relative pronoun immediately before or after the particle. These sentences are incorrect. That is the room which up I did. That is the room up which I did. We should say, that is the room which I did up. We cannot put a relative pronoun immediately before or after the particle. These sentences are incorrect. That is the room which up I did. That is the room up which I did. We should say, that is the room which I did up. Next part is about prepositional verbs. Prepositional verbs consist of a verb plus a preposition. Combination of verb and a preposition creates a new meaning which can sometimes, but not always, be worked out form the parts. She looked for her missing passport. Looked for means, searched means, tried to find. Would you mind looking into his complaint? Looking into means, investigating, researching. She looked for her missing passport. Looked for means, searched means, tried to find. Would you mind looking into his complaint? Looking into means, investigating, researching. With prepositional verbs we can put an adverb between the verb and preposition. But we cannot put an adverb between the preposition and object. Examples. She parted with reluctantly her money. This is worn. The correct sentence is, she parted reluctantly with her money. In formal English we sometimes prefer to avoid a preposition at the end of a sentence. With prepositional verbs we can put the preposition in front of the relative pronouns whom or which. Example: these are principles which our party stands for. These are principles for which our party stands. That is type of client with whom I am dealing. But we cannot put the preposition after which or whom. For example, these are principles which for our party stands. Some prepositional verbs are mainly used in the passive form, especially in written English. Example: the marketing strategy is aimed at a target audience of 18 to 25 years old. The other part is about phrasal prepositional verbs. These verbs are formed by combining a verb with an adverb and preposition. The combination creates a new meaning which cannot usually be understood from the meaning of the individual parts. We look forward to hearing from you. They are transitive and can be made passive. Examples: all her employees looked up to her. She was looked up to by all her employees. We can never use a noun or pronoun object between the particles. I cannot put up his treatment, it with any longer. The other point is that we cannot usually put a noun or pronoun object immediately after the verb. I cannot put his treatment, it up with any longer. This is wrong. The correct sentence is: I cannot put up with this treatment, it, any longer. I cannot put his treatment, it, up with any longer. This is wrong. I cannot put up with this treatment, it, any longer. It is correct. The exception is when the verb has two objects. For example, let somebody in on something. Take somebody up on something. We cannot usually put a noun or pronoun object immediately after the verb. We cannot put an adverb before the first particle or after the final particle, but we can use an adverb between the two particles. He stands strongly up for his principles. He stands up for strongly his principles. These two sentences are wrong. He stands up strongly for his principles. This form is correct. Particle plus adverb plus particle.